Righto guys, well, the Hilux build part 3. Hilux is up on the hoist in the workshop and we've already fitted most of the accessories that I spoke about in the last video. It's got its new springs in, its new shockies, and what it's really given us an opportunity to do is actually go through the vehicle, check mechanically if the vehicle is, missing anything or things are old, like the brake rotors, the old brake hoses, lines and so on, and just giving a good hand and a good eyeball over everything. But let me show you this. So the original springs, they've absolutely had it, other than it being rusty. It's still pretty classic. Back in the 80s, a lot of the guys used lead paint to actually paint on the chassis to prevent rust. So it was a red oxide. It's now banned. Basically, you can't paint with lead-based paints anymore in Australia. So it shows you the remnants on the red paint. They painted absolutely everything. So the chassis was originally painted in the red oxide, as well as the leaf packs. As far as the shocks go, original Toyota shocks, not much in these things. As you can see, even if you just push it, it's completely destroyed. While we're in there, we use the old tactile spray on any new nuts and bolts that we're trying to keep just corrosion off of them. So that's pretty great. Now getting onto the vehicle at the top, let me stand up. We're running the 2-inch lift on the rear, and we've put the springs in from Terrain Tamer. So those are already hanging into place, and they do come with the greaseable shackles. Now, when we fitted everything, including the new shock absorbers, is that we needed to extend the handbrake cable assembly, basically where it attaches onto the rear diff housing. So we made up a little plate there, lifted up to the correct angle so that the actual handbrake goes through the correct thing. Other than that, the U-bolts have been replaced, including the bracketry in the bottom to connect everything together. So the rear is all done. Let's go and have a look in the front. We'll discuss the wheels and tires and show you what we've actually done on the front end as well. Right, so the front was a little bit trickier, and obviously as you open up the can of worms, you start seeing all the problems, or not problems, but things we needed to just touch up and fix. So the new discs are in place on the front end, and obviously that's got a set of new brake pads as well. While we were in there, we had a look at the calipers. We also had a look at all the braking components. So whether the seals were old and tight, and they weren't, they're actually still pretty good. What we have had to do is extend the brake lines. Now with the lower or the higher suspension above standard, so the 2-inch lift with the extended shackles as well, that was just too short and was catching on full extension. So we extended that up and had a new couple of those made. Shockies are in position over there. And originally what we went with is we actually fitted these extended shackles from RoadSafe on the front as well as on the rear. When we lowered the vehicle down, we noticed that the vehicle was extremely heavy nose up. Even though the suspensions compensated for the weight, the shackles were just too long. So we removed those, we left the shackles on the back, and on the front we went back to standard, and she's sitting at a nice level height, and I'll show you at the end of the video on that. Other than that, when you get into it, previously I showed you we just brought in the tie rod ends, basically the ball joints and tie rod ends. That was great until we realized that the actual tie rod itself has obviously taken a knock out on the old farm, and it's completely bent like a banana. So that was replaced. We managed to get in a new tie rod as well. But the funny thing is that we can't find a replacement tie rod unless you search it through scrap yards and scrap dealers. So we managed to get that from All For Spares, but it's one for a newer model. So we had to make sure that we had the correct tie rod ends for the newer model vehicle or Hilux as well. So it's running a newer model Hilux that probably would have been your probably about the 1989 to 1994 models, basically, that ran the 22-litre R motors or 2.2 R motors in them as well. So yeah, slightly newer componentry there. Also, the steering dampener, this one is completely stuffed, as you can see. So that has been replaced with a new steering dampener from Terrain Tamer as well. Other than that, the component, or basically the tensioning bar, torsion bar on the front end, which goes between the pumpkin or the diff housing to the front of the vehicle, we also have got an adjustable one of those in place so that we can adjust it to get our angle of the diff right. Now that everything's sitting up correctly, we'll basically get the last of the wheels and tires on. Now that was a luck. So one of our vehicles over here, the Bush Company vehicles, our old D-Max, was running a set of BF Goodrich tires. Now if you remember, the tires with the white writing that BF used to do, that's basically been done away with. So we managed to find a set of KO2s off of the old D-Max. Now that's what we're putting on. So that's the original over there, the split rim, and that's about a 29-inch tire in total. And we've actually gone over to the BF Goodrich on a set of Sunraiser rims. So we've got the steel Sunraisers on there in a 16-inch format and a 265 75 16-inch wheel. So that's basically a 32-inch tire. Now as you can see, these ones are old and we were trying to get this retro look going. So we managed to find one with the white writing on the outside that needs a bit of a touch-up. Now the great thing is you can actually buy white tire paint from your local automotive shop, and I will continue painting up all the letters just to neaten it up and make it look nice and crisp. Now these tires have only done about 25,000 kilometers on them, so they are actually good to go, all terrains, good tread on them, and are just going to fit really well with this vehicle. We'll get the wheel on. It's going to go in for wheel alignment as well, so we get everything running correctly, and then I will show you at the end of the video what it looks like on the ground. I'm sure it's going to be awesome. Stay tuned. Well guys, that's it. It's a bit rainy, good old Queensland weather here, but the vehicle has just come back from wheel alignment and it's running really well. As you can see, this vehicle as it's standing over here, the front end has lifted just over 55 millimeters and the back has increased by a massive 85 mil. So it was definitely lower in the back section there. Future plans are we'll probably keep this vehicle running for a while like this, slowly go through the mechanical things, as you know, nurse the engine and so on. It's really good. Interior we'll get it redoing over time, and possibly even a paint. We'll see whether we're going to go something different with that. But the main thing is the awning height can actually open now, and this is what I wanted to show you. With the suspension up and the total height, this build honestly came up an absolute treat. And when you consider the speed of this setup, and it's going to be great. Now the biggest thing for us is I absolutely cannot wait to take this off-road. That is awesome. Huge awning height, massive space now, ready to hit the bush tracks. It's going to be so much fun. Thanks for watching this build episode on our little Hilux build, and don't forget to go bush. I'll catch you later.